We typically only be able to study it in sort of 1 rep, 2 rep kind of repetitions, or in this bilateral to unilateral, so 2-footed to 1-footed example. Whereas Tonal just makes that really, really accessible. It's a touch of a button and it's every rep.
Yeah.
And so we're doing a bunch of research around that with Brad initially, around muscle hypertrophy. But I think there's a whole avenue of research that we can go down there, which I think really unlocks huge potential beneficial gains for our membership. Smarter ways to train, more efficient ways to train, get more out of the same level of training. And so that's probably the area that I'm most excited for us to dive into and peel back and show our members how best to utilize those.
Gym, better do it smart. Get your own coach there where you are. Start the day right there in your home with the smartest gym in the world. Ready, set, go. Smart panel, smart bar, smart training. There you are. Customize, make it right. AI, form advice. Superset will show you what it's all about. It's a total workout.
Welcome to the Superset Podcast, episode 38. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. We are back.
We're back.
From winter break.
Yes.
We took a little break there, but now we are back and, well, I wouldn't say better than ever, the same as ever.
Yeah. Our New Year's resolution is to be the same as ever.
We try to set goals that are achievable. Our New Year's resolution, just don't get worse.
Yeah.
You don't got to get better. Just don't get worse.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we can do that.
It's going to be a jump ball.
Yeah.
But we'll give it the old I dropped out of college try.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
We're going to talk about the new system for Feedback Friday.
Okay.
We are going to talk about the new tonal gear that dropped, new features, new content, and of course, we have our interview with Troy Taylor talking all about the Tonal Strength Institute, which you are not going to want to miss.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeart, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Mm-hmm. Also, maybe rate and review. Leave us a review so people that come along after you know that we're worth checking out, that we got good information. Also, if you're a Spotify listener, you can now rate reviews on Spotify. So,
I just want to point something out. People get kind of intimidated when they think they have to say a whole bunch with reviews. You can literally just do a star rating and if you're uncomfortable, and then just be like, I like it. That's it. Yeah. That's all you got to do. I promise it won't be hard. And if you don't know how to do that on Apple Podcast or Spotify, reach out to us because we can walk you through it.
Totally. But yeah, you can just real quick, Tom is the funniest person I've ever heard in my life. 5 stars and you're done. That's all you gotta say.
I mean, that's
easy peasy.
That's a little more involved than I was thinking. I'm not
just trying to help them. I'm trying to facilitate. So just how about this? Tom is the funniest. Boom. 4 words. You're done.
Well, I mean, I'm here too.
Okay. New plan of attack.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
Crystal's husband is the funniest.
It's not quite what I had in mind.
Well, I'm trying to meet you halfway here, and you gotta give me a little wiggle room here. Come on, I'm trying, and you're just shooting down everything. Oh, goodness. So, shameless plug. So, you can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Superset Podcast. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And, of course, you can watch these episodes and you're going to want to because later on we've got a cute dog video.
Oh, yeah.
But you can watch these episodes on YouTube if you go to our YouTube channel, which is called youtube.com/theclipout because that's the name of our other show. But both podcasts live on that channel, so you can watch these in HD glory.
Yep.
So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
Let's do it.
If you have tips for Tonal, not tips on how to use Tonal, but tips for Tonal the company.
Right.
Not Tonal the machine.
Right.
There's a new way to give them your input.
Yeah. So in the past, you went on Facebook and there was a voting like at the end of every Friday, there would be, at the beginning of every Friday,
right.
At the end of the week, at the beginning of the day, there was a thread, and you would add in a new option. Like, you know how you can add to voting options on Facebook?
Yeah.
You could add your own. And then, so Kate would like gather up all of them.
Right.
And then at the end of the month, you got to vote, like, here's my favorite for the month. And you were supposed to only vote on 3. And that way, the ones that were most important to people would kind of float up to the top over a given month. Well, now a new thread will be posted on the first Friday, and that thread will be open until the next one is pinned. And so you get to comment about content, coaching, programs. They do suggest, they actually plead, please read the thread first to see if your idea has already been suggested, because they have to aggregate it manually.
Kate is like a human abacus.
Right. And it's actually their whole team, not just Kate, and it's still hard. And so that way, make sure every idea is in its own separate comment. So if you have 3 ideas, don't just do 1 comment. Do 3 different comments.
Yeah.
But they want to hear them all, and they want to get everybody to vote on it. And then you can like and comment on other ideas. And when you like somebody else's idea, you're voting for it. So you can vote for your favorites.
Ta-da.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. That's a great little system they got going on there. Mm-hmm. I was trying to say setup, and then halfway through, I was going to pivot to system. And it came out system.
Okay.
So it's a system they got over there, which I think that you should have someone look at to make sure it's benign. That's how that works.
Okay.
And I'm not a doctor, but get it checked out.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There's also a new tonal gear, and apparently this is the thing you want, because when I clicked the link, it took me straight to this thing.
Well, I think that's because that's the one Kate was asking for her birthday.
Okay.
She even put her size out there in case anybody wanted
it. They come in abacus. If you're wondering if you have an abacus in your life and you're like, but would this tonal gear fit my abacus? The answer is yes. Yes, it will.
Yeah. And they had, the one thing that I did want was already sold out.
Okay.
So I already messaged Kate that day, and I was like, I really hope you guys get this back in. Like, that would be nice.
So what is this called?
Onesie. This is a bra by Onesie.
Oh, they're just selling you the bra here?
That's all. Yeah.
Okay.
What did you think was happening?
Well, because it says onesie, but I see 2 pieces. When I see here
that's
onesie,
the brand.
It's a brand. Well,
You're such a boy.
Well, I don't buy a lot of sports bras. I look at them, but I don't buy a lot. I let you do the buying.
Okay.
And it's yours I'm looking at.
Right.
But but I'm not looking at the label.
All right. Well,
spoiler alert.
Onesie is a brand.
Okay.
And
because I was like, that is clear. I was like, maybe it's called Onsie? No. Or maybe it's like Fonzie without the F?
Maybe it is Onsie, and I've been calling it Onesie this whole time.
I don't know. Because I was just like, but there are 2 pieces there. Like, I don't even understand anymore.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. But that's a brand.
Okay, but it's a brand, and you're not buying the whole thing that you're seeing. People just listening or don't know what we're talking about. But she has like a sports bra and then leggings on.
Right.
But then it says what I thought it was pronounced onesie too. Onesie too. Onesie also. I'm making it more confusing.
You are.
And who's on first? I don't know. Third base. Oh, goodness.
Onesie sacred bra.
Okay. Yes.
Or Onsie, whichever it is.
But the takeaway, new tonal gear.
There's new tonal gear.
I think we made that clear.
Yeah.
We didn't make anything else clear, but we made that clear.
New tonal features.
There is a new way for you to share your workout with the Facebook and Instagram world.
Yeah. So now when you're sharing it, and so what you do is you click on it, and then you click share, and then it asks, like, you could go right to Instagram stories.
Okay.
And boom, that graphic goes right on Instagram stories. Ta-da. And you can add little fun, strongman arms. And of course, you got to tag Tonal at Tonal.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So it's great because you can do it right from the app now. You don't have to download the picture, then go to
cool.
Instagram, then load it. It's very nice. I love it.
They need some muscle arms that are less muscly.
Well, that's more of an that's kind of like Instagrams. You need to ask Instagram for that.
Oh, okay.
Because that's an emoji.
Because I'm like, not that I'm going to share anything. I haven't checked my Instagram in forever. But it's like, I'm not going to. I feel like it's lying to share the big muscle arm. They need like. You know that thing that when Bugs Bunny would make a muscle
and it would go down,
go the other way. I need that. I need one of those.
That's not true because I've seen your biceps, and that's not true. You're being very modest, Mr. O'Keefe.
I'm a regular Bugs Bunny. I'll tell you that.
New tonal content.
As always, there is a veritable crap load of new content, and I'm sure Tonal loves it when I refer to it as crap load. I mean crap load in the best possible way.
It's a metric that you measure by.
Right.
It's not a statement on the quality.
Correct. So, especially since we've been out for a little while, there's so much. So you want to just blow through some of the good stuff that came online?
Absolutely. So we have new strength. There's dynamic weight mode build with Coach Pablo. 40 minutes, and it's all about using the dynamic weight modes.
I was really excited for this one.
Were you?
Well, I was. You know how you only half read something sometimes? I thought it said dynamic weight a la mode. And I was like...
Oh, you thought it was ice cream?
Right. And I was like, Tonal has really stepped it up in 2022 that they're working ice cream into the workouts, but apparently...
I think you were just hungry when you read it.
'Twas not meant to be.
Yeah.
No, I'm into a Met Pro. I am never hungry.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, you were craving ice cream.
Okay, fair enough.
And there's also a bunch of... there's a new Quick Fit, a full body burnout with Coach Liz. Only 19 minutes, get the full body workout.
See, I thought it said new Quick Trip, and I was like, I'm going to get me one of them chicken rollers.
You sure you're not hungry? It sounds hungry.
Well, it is dinner time around here.
Then there's
frozen yogurt.
No, that's yoga.
Oh, new yoga. Sorry.
There's Alleviate Soreness with Coach Francis, hips and hammy opener with Coach Nikki, new barbell glutes with Coach Francis. If you need a tushy builder, we've got a new warm up, instant motivation with Coach Liz. I highly recommend this. New mobility roller release.
Chicken roller release.
No.
With the Quick Trip workout that they're
no.
Oh,
it's a roller release with Coach Allison. 24 minutes of foam rolling. Hello. Also, recovery, core and stretch with Coach Nicolette, new cardio with Coach Amy, meditation with Coach Allison, and there's even more because there's a new program, and it's Divide and Conquer with Coach Jared. Now, Tom,
what?
I believe this is what you are currently working on. Tell the folks how it's going.
I mean, I've been doing it.
Thank you for your
no problem
input. This is why we don't leave this to you. No, seriously. Now, you were telling me in all seriousness. So for anybody who hasn't looked into this one yet, 5 times a week for 4 weeks. And just so you know, Tom, this is actually, we're going to talk about this later because it is going to be the challenge program of the month of February.
So I already did it. I win. But everyone else is I've won.
I don't think that's how it works.
Damn it.
But what I am curious about is you were saying that like it's deceptive and that as you're working on it, like it's good. And then like afterwards, all of a sudden it's catching up with you. But
I will. Yeah, totally. I like it because it focuses on like one specific
muscle group.
There we go. You're the personal trainer. I don't know. And so when you're doing it, you're like, well, this isn't so bad. Like this isn't like, okay, if you're saying this is going to work, whatever, Jared. But then the next day you're like, oh wow, I did do something yesterday.
Yeah,
so
it turns out Jared knows what he's talking about.
Right. So my apologies to Jared. But yeah, so it did catch me off guard because I know the first time I did the core day or whatever, it's probably got a more official name. That'll work. But it was just like, well, whatever. And then the next day when I'm getting into bed,
you were like, oh,
I was like, holy crap!
You were like, what have I done?
Yeah, I'm like, because I mean I'm 51, so I get up to pee about 8 times in the night. So that's like doing a whole other set in the middle of the night of core stuff.
Well, that would explain why you were hollow body rocking in the middle of the night.
I don't like to brag.
But and then so this was actually, released a little bit earlier in the month. There were more quick fit workouts, quick shred with Coach Nikki.
Ooh, shredded cheese?
No. Oh. High intensity head to toe with Coach Woody. That's a full body 36 minutes. Quick fit upper body TKO with Coach Pablo, and new yoga hip and back love with Coach Francis. Positive energy with Coach Nikki, and then new bar. It's a bar burner for legs with Coach Gabby, new warm-up lower body love with Coach Allison, new recovery chest day recovery with Coach Liz, new cardio, and then a new meditation, maintain your motivation with Coach Jake. So tons and tons of new things, not to mention this is all in addition to all of the live classes that are happening each week, because there's new classes being recorded daily. And in the month of January, the challenge was to do the fast track to fitness, and they had 2 different tracks that you could do. One was for beginners, right, and one was for intermediate. And the reason that I tell you this is because they had a new class every single day that you could take. And on your trainer, there was like a row that was fast track row. So you could go right to that for your classes. And you could either do it live every day when the classes came out, or you could do it on demand. So either way you wanted to approach it, but a whole new way to approach classes and programs. And I loved it. It was great.
Awesome. When you said there was a row, I was like, wait, Tonal got a rower out before Peloton did?
Oh, zing. Zing, zing,
shots
zing.
Fired.
Yeah.
Coaches in the news.
Coach Jackson got married.
Yeah. So they got married a little bit ago.
Okay.
They had the ceremony, like a private ceremony, legal proceeding here in the U.S. But this week, they went down to Cabo. They were supposed to have this happen way back, whenever COVID hit.
Sure.
And they finally got to do their wedding in Cabo. And coaches were there. I'm not sure who all was there, but I know for a fact that I saw Coach Pablo.
Right.
And there was...
Did he go just because it rhymes with Pablo?
Pablo Cabo?
Pablo and Cabo?
Yeah, I'm sure that was why. Yeah. But they all seem to have a great time, and hopefully we'll get to see pictures soon.
Awesome. Coach Trace, his birthday, I guess already will have occurred by the time you hear this.
Yeah. It was on Monday the 24th. So happy birthday to Coach Trace.
But he had his reverse training birthday workout, and I'm sure people were suitably cruel. Yeah,
I'm sure they were, because it was a 31-minute tonal workout, I assume, because he's turning 31. And
I was like, well, I think I can guarantee it was a tonal workout. I don't know why you would assume that.
So I hope that he had a great birthday.
There was an Ask Coach Nicolette segment for people.
Yeah, on Thursday, January 27th at 4 p.m. Pacific time, you were able to go in and ask Coach Nicolette anything. So if you didn't get to catch that real time, you can go back and check it out on demand.
And depending on how quickly we edit this, that might not have happened yet.
It probably will have, but we never know. You never know.
Sometimes some weeks we're better than others.
Yeah.
Also, some exciting news for community coordinator Dia Woodbury.
Yes.
She is having a baby.
Yeah, she's welcoming her second child into the world. So I guess, and it's at any day now. I didn't even know she was pregnant. So congratulations. And she is going to be taking some time off. And so she will be going home to take care of her kiddo. And while she's out on maternity leave, Devin Reese will be filling in Dia's shoes. So welcome to Devin, and congrats again to Dia. Oh, I thought this was really funny, by the way.
Yes.
Devin is joining Tonal from the Tonal retail team. So she's coming into the community from the retail team.
Okay.
But check this out. She and Kate were in the same class in 5th grade. What?
How about that?
Yeah.
Why just 5th grade?
I don't know.
Now I want to hear that story.
Kate moved.
But just 5th grade. Like, it wasn't like K through 5th.
I know. Well, I don't know. One of them moved in, then one of them moved out. I don't know. Maybe they redid the districts and then redid them again.
I think there was a falling out and one of them had to leave school.
You think?
That's what I'm going with.
Do you think it was Kate? Because she's a little bit of a troublemaker, and I don't.
Yeah, she probably used her human abacus powers
To do what?
I don't know.
To math, Devin?
She mathed her. Math is evil. She math shamed her.
Oh, my goodness.
She had to go to the non-abacus school. She was like, oh, you got a calculator over there, you little baby. You little baby calculator user.
Yeah, that sounds like Kate.
You're going to end up with HR, Kate. Got to rein it in.
Surprised Devin wants to come back.
I know.
Maybe they made up.
I hope so.
I hope so, too.
I hope so.
I hope this will be a happy ending.
They're mature adults now.
Right.
And we live in a world where calculators and abaci
can get along.
I believe that's a plural of abacus.
We're going to go with it.
Yeah. Can walk peacefully hand in hand.
Down the locker, between the lockers.
Yes.
In the school hallway.
Tonal and celebs.
I think we've talked about this person being in possession of a tonal previously, but I'm not 100%.
I cannot remember, but I did verify this happened 9 months ago.
Okay.
And apparently Tonal gifted it to him.
Okay. So Vinny.
Yeah.
From Pauly Shore.
What just happened?
They're both MTV shows.
That is true.
So there, you weasel. So
oh my word.
Vinny from Jersey Shore has a tonal, but so maybe that's not news to you, but it was on the most recent episode of Jersey Shore. So you got to see him utilizing his tonal.
Yeah, and just so you know, people in the community instantly made fun of the fact that he's working out in socks and slides, which I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Also, for those of you judging, I'm pretty sure he wasn't really like working out. I think it was just for the film. They were just filming him.
They were like, give us some footage of you using that contraption.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, okay, here you go. I work out in socks. Am I not supposed to do that?
It's the slides.
It's the slides.
The slides.
I hate things like that. I like shoes.
I know. You don't do any
like
kind of
flip-flops or sandals.
They got to be a whole shoe.
Yeah.
It's hell. It's hell at the beach with you.
I couldn't have lived in Bible times with all the Birkenstocks.
No.
The Bible and the 90s. Tough time for me.
Also, I hear that he has posted about this since he did move back to Jersey, back to the East Coast. So apparently the tonal went with him. So
well, that's good.
Glad to hear that.
Because it would be kind of rude if they gave him one and he left it behind.
I agree with you.
That would be kind of a dick move.
I agree.
And he also has Peloton right there. So
right there.
For people that dig Peloton also, he has one of those as well.
So does Snooki.
Yes, we do. We know that. We interviewed her on the other show.
I know.
Tonal Talks.
The latest Tonal Talk was Motivation Workshop with Coach Jackson.
Yeah, I love this because it talks about like getting stuck. You make a goal, and then especially around January, if you're a person who does resolutions, then
right.
You start the month, you're going great, and all of a sudden life happens, because life always happens, and you get stuck. And how do you keep going? Either because now there's this obstacle in your way, or you've lost motivation.
Right.
And so this Tonal Talk addresses both. I think it's fabulous.
Awesome.
In case you missed it.
So February is almost upon us, which means the February challenge will be here soon. As we have already delineated, I've already successfully completed the February challenge.
Well,
so I am the winner.
But not really. But not really. You know why? Not really? Because
why not really?
The actual February challenge has more than just divide and conquer. You see, they put other workouts on the calendar. So to really complete it, you need to do those workouts as well.
Then I quit.
Well,
I think I need Coach Jackson's motivation tonal talk.
I am enrolling you now. Here it goes. I just
you
enrolled you.
type with purpose.
I do.
Like Anna Kendrick in Up in the Air.
It's angry typing.
It's typing with purpose.
But yeah, so I think this is going to be a lot of fun. People have been asking for like a classic bodybuilding split program. I think that it will be a lot of fun for people to do together, because it's a great program that like it's going to be very challenging. I mean, an hour of legs, that's a lot of legs. That's
the rough one.
Yeah.
Like the other parts I haven't really bothered me, but that leg day one is like oof.
Yeah, you needed the whole hour. Usually you zoom through them.
Yeah, but that one, it was like You were like, oh, this one says only 51 minutes. And I was like, not the way I do it. There is also a new read between the reps for January. We didn't really get to talk about it too much, but it's Dr. Dana Cohen's. You might want to grab a snack because this is like the longest book title. Quench, beat fatigue, drop weight, and heal your body through the new science of optimum hydration.
It had like a little bit of a beat to it. I feel like you could have made that into a song. Yeah.
It's a long title.
It is. Yeah, it is. And on that note, if you haven't gotten a chance to read it, it might be a little late since you're at the end of the month, but don't fear, because here's the thing. There is a brand new Facebook group that handles nothing but the official book club.
How about that?
Yeah. So you can go out there and get the link so you can find Tonal's new book club, Read Between the Reps. And then you will always know every month exactly what everyone is reading. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's a great place, I'm sure, to go and have your own conversation, not have to wait for, the video chat and whatnot, the Zoom links. You can talk about it on the fly right there.
I love it. I wonder what February's book's going to be.
I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they'll say it right after we get done recording.
After we record.
That's how that typically works.
Kate has probably put together an email, like a message right now. She's probably getting ready to post.
Tonal's Senior Vice President of Product, Sumner Paine, is going, or will have lifted by the time you hear this, his 30 millionth pound.
Yeah, this actually happened I think it was a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. But that is an astounding number.
Yeah.
It needed to be including 30 million pounds lifted on his tonal. And I love that he did it live. He did it on one of the live workouts. And so a group of people from the Tonal crew got together. Kate encouraged people, hey, let's come on and come together and celebrate him. And everybody hopped on and celebrated with him. And this was a fun fact that Kate included. Did you know Sumner was actually the one who founded the official Tonal community? In 2018, way back in 2018.
How about that? Another fun fact, he was in 5th grade with Kate.
Kate and Devin, right? Yeah, they were all in the same class.
Yes.
They're besties.
She used to make fun of him for using a speak and spell. Kate was a terror.
She's really grown.
Yes, she has. And then finally, the cute dog video that we promised.
Yeah, Coach Brendan posted this in the official Tonal community. Apparently, the original reel is 2.5 minutes long. Yeah, with this dog just the dog just walked up to him and was like, I'm going to sit on your chest now while you continue to use the tonal. Yeah,
I don't know what it's called, the bench chest fly or something like that. Yeah. And the dog's like, pay attention to me now.
And gives him a big old hug. Yeah. And I love that he gives him a hug back. It's the sweetest. It had to be included.
Yes.
I love puppy videos.
This is what Twix tries to do to us.
Yes, it is.
Our dog is always like, you will pay attention to me now. Or like when you get down on the mat, she's like, oh, are we doing that?
She thinks her downward dogs are our downward dogs.
Yes.
And then she wants to get underneath. And I love how he just keeps holding the dog. Yeah. Now, Twix would not be okay with that.
That dog does not like to be held.
No, she does not. You can hug her, but no picking up.
No.
None of that. What a wonderful little video. Made me so happy. I'm so glad Coach Brendan shared that.
Checking in with the Tonal community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube, all the way from the Tonal Strength Institute, it's Troy Taylor. Hey, Troy, how's it going?
I'm doing awesome, Tom. Thanks for having me on. How are you doing?
Good. I feel like the Tonal Strength Institute, it sounds like you're like breeding superheroes.
Well, I think that might be triggering for you because didn't one of your openings for your movie podcast, it was something about the Snark Institute or something?
On Real Spoilers, I always say broadcasting. Now, it's hard to say it now when I'm not actually, but from the broadcasting from the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude.
There we go.
So, yeah,
quite the mouthful.
Right? It is, yeah. And every time
I'm glad we can get shortened to TSI. That makes it easier for me.
Every time we change locations where we record from, I have to come up with a new one. So it's like the fourth one I've had to come up with in the time we've been doing the show.
So that's probably why it feels super hero-y.
Yeah.
But where is
not breeding them yet, but we're certainly trying to I guess take some science and bring it into the program.
It looks like because of your awesome tonal background there, it looks like you've got a superhero on the wall already. Like there's one up there. Who is that? Is that Jared? I can't tell. Is that Jackson?
No, it's not Jackson. I actually don't know. I know it's our Stanford studio.
Oh.
And I've never actually been there with COVID and things.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, well, we'll have to name the coach. Yeah. So where are you then? Where like in the world are you located, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, no, I'm in Park City, Utah. Yeah, I came over here for my previous job. I actually originally came over here in 2004 or something. But my previous role brought me to the mountains of Utah and managed to stay here when I took the role at Tonal.
That's awesome. Nice. That's great. So
there's a little bit of snow outside.
Oh, well, I guess it's that time of year. And, you guys are known for the skiing. So that's good.
It's good for business.
It is. Yeah.
It is.
So I guess let's just start right out of the gate. Like, just tell people about the Tonal Strength Institute.
Yeah, well, the Tonal Strength Institute, I've been on board 6-7 months now with Tonal and sort of the first employee of the Strength Institute. We've grown a little bit since then, but we really exist to infuse cutting edge human performance knowledge into the DNA of Tonal. So just to break that down a little bit, like the human performance means everyone who's a human, we're interested, whether you're a 16-year-old new to training and never done that, you're like myself in the 40s, few knee issues and you're trying to look to manage those, you're maybe in your 60s, postmenopausal, and you're with the whole gamut. That's what we're interested in. And it's really about not just about how we train, but that's obviously a big portion, the physiology and the biomechanics of what happens with muscles, but also about, what's happening in the brain and the neuroscience or the behavioral science. So really trying to bring best practices from the science world and from what we know and developing new knowledge within that space and making sure that Tonal is on the cutting edge of what we can know about human performance.
Okay, so like people love to say, I did my own research. You actually do.
It is true. Yeah, we've got a number of projects that are up and running and a lot more in the pipeline. So yes, we do our own research for sure.
Well, and like, what kind of led to the involvement of the TSI existing? Like, why does it exist?
Yeah, good question. It's always, if you talk to Ali, our founder and CEO, it's always been a vision that to have this sort of brain trust around this human performance knowledge to really kind of advance essentially everything that Tonal could do. So it's been in the conception, or at least in the in the mind for forever. Really, obviously, once Tonal started getting traction and we kind of started to explode when it was the point to pull the trigger. And so it's always been kind of part of the plan, and it's really about infusing what we can do from the human performance side and the best practice knowledge there with the data science side and the wizardry that goes on with the algorithm creation, and really the melding between those to create something really, really unique. So we really exist to be on that cutting edge and to make sure that Tonal's leading the way, not just now, but in 12, 18, 24, 36 months, that we're always have new and latest cutting edge practices to bring to our membership.
So is there anything that like the end user would do or see that you could be like, we did that?
Yeah, there needs to be. Otherwise, I might not be in this role forever.
I mean, Ali's texting me, telling me to ask this.
When are we gonna see some deliverables?
Right. Pressure is on.
Absolutely. A lot of, it doesn't exist for the science of, for the sake of the science. It's really around how we inform the product. So a good use case example of that coming up right now, one of our advisory board members that we work with is a professor by the name of Brad Schoenfeld. He's very well known in the muscle hypertrophy world, probably one of the leading researchers in the world and academics. So for a Tonal, he's writing like our hypertrophy position statement. What does Tonal believe about how sets and programs need to develop if we're interested in muscle mass? So that will then go and transform into how you see programs moving forward in the future. They'll abide by or have these guideline principles that the Strength Institute develops, but really then our coaches and our programming team work to develop and how that would be inserted. So we have to have, let's say, at least 10 sets of volume a week if we want to be interested in hypertrophy. We actually know that, we don't have to just work in 8 to 10 reps or 8 to 12 reps. It used to be classic hypertrophy range, but there's actually research that we can do that as low as 6 and as high as 20 reps. That we don't have to go to failure, but we need to go fairly close to failure. So we need to get to 1 or 2 reps in reserve. So close. So all of those kind of principles that come out of the science will lead their way into the product through program creation. So when you go in and click on the latest Go Big or Go Home program or whatever it may be, it will have sort of the groundwork and the framework from the Institute.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's fascinating that you're like you don't have to go to failure, because knowing nothing about this stuff, because I'm not a fan of movement or sweating. Yeah,
your reputation precedes you.
Okay,
Tom.
I don't know. And so, like, everything I've always heard whenever I hear people talk about that is like go to failure. And so when I'm doing these, I'm like, well, I'm not going to failure. So I'm like, am I not doing this right? Like, does it know who I am? Is there like a special asterisk? Like, oh, don't do Tom too much because he'll just quit.
Yeah, no, there's really good science behind that. Maybe sometimes it's okay and people want to push themselves when not against it, but going there all the time, every set, every fat bit of things certainly is not just only not beneficial, it's detrimental to training. It adds more fatigue, it burns out your central nervous system, and there's lots of research that Brad himself and others
hurts your feelings.
Yeah, hurts your feelings. Thankfully, we got tilt to bail, so you don't get stuck under the bar race.
Yeah. I mean, what's that?
I've
never heard of that.
But I listened to your Tonal talk with Kate. So like all joking aside about the feelings, but like I remember you talking about the fact that like one of the things that's kind of being worked in here in one of your mini projects is how people do react, how people like what does motivate them. And I know that's something that is, I don't know if it's being currently looked into or if it's in the pipeline, but I remember you talking about that because I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah, it's a project it's really just about, it's in its infancy, just about to kick off. Actually, just after MLK Day, our new behavioral scientist starts within the Institute. So it'll be his first day, so he'll have some deliverables. I want a delivered report by the end of the day of exactly
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Hopefully he'll watch this as good prep for onboarding. But yeah, no, it's really in its infancy. But yeah, super interesting area of where we really do want to understand what signals can we ask people and what signals can we get from Tonal itself around how people are engaging with the product and engaging with their programs.
Yeah, I mean, I bet like, I'm joking about how like I don't want to go to failure, but I bet people that have been lifting weights for years, like they probably do. They probably, if they're not, they probably don't at this point really believe that they're working out like they should be.
Yeah, I think it's certainly, people, like most training methodologies, people get into a habit and they get into a rut, and this is what I do, and this is the way I do, this is the way I train. And so if you've been training to failure, say, for the last 10 years, depends on how your gains are going.
Right.
Well, hey, that's fair.
If you're still making progress, and then maybe it works for you, but certainly the science would say things that, so if you're plateaued, and what do we do when we plateau? Some people, Tom, not necessarily you or I, to be honest, push through and push harder. I got to add more. I got to do,
Well, then it's not a plateau.
I got to do extra, whereas actually I might need to back off and give myself a little more recovery. So there's definitely really interesting ways that we can kind of incorporate that into the product.
I pretty much always err on the side of recovery.
You're always really focused on your recovery, Tom. Yeah, definitely.
Did a little recovery right before this.
And by that he means a nap.
I fell asleep on the couch. Yes.
I give a great presentation on the power of napping. It's really good for memory formation, for recovery.
Tonal Strength Institute is on my side, honey.
I can't argue with that.
Exactly. I'm going to start sending you notes of things I want you to back me up on.
Oh, dear.
Okay? You can find science to support anything if you dig hard enough.
If the last 2 years has taught us nothing. So, in all seriousness, what kind of projects are you working on so far then? I know you've got a lot, so you can just pick a few.
Yeah, there are. It's busy and exciting times. A couple of that I'll pick out that maybe have already happened and we're ready to share, and a couple that are still kind of in the works but not super confidential. So the first project that we kind of took under board was the sort of feels like study. Well, how does tonal? Everyone, if you read forums, and I'm sure it's come up in your podcast and others, that tonal feels heavier. 200 pounds on tonal or 100 pounds on tonal doesn't feel the same. It feels heavier than free weight. So we partnered with a university, High Point University out of North Carolina, and a professor, Kevin Ford, out there to study that. So we took a bunch of subjects, sort of 15 resistance trained individuals. We took them to their 1RMs, or the professor took them to their 1RMs on tonal and on free weight. We measured EMG activation, so their muscle activations. And basically the way it comes out is that, the long story short, is it about 20 to 25% heavier on tonal is how things. It depends a little bit on the exercise, but lifting 200 pounds on tonal is more like lifting 225 to 250 pounds in free weight work.
That's fascinating.
So will that cause you to adjust what the numbers say, or will you leave them where they're at?
The current plan of record is
I put my foot in something.
Backpedal, no. The current plan of record is to keep them what they are, because the weight that we see on the dial is the weight. If you hung 50 pounds off of the handle, it is 50 pounds. It's all to do with movement and the way that it moves. And essentially when you work with free weights, if you pull on the weight, you get this kind of momentum, inertia, positive benefit, I say. It basically takes more work off your muscles and gives you a bit of free stuff. On tonal, the way it works, you have to push through the entire rep of the range of motion. So arguably get a better activation of the muscle. So we're not necessarily changing it right now, but certainly we're considering ways that we can incorporate that either into the product if people want to know that, or into the mobile app, or maybe through an editorial feed. We can kind of give some information around how people might things. If you're on vacation and your hotel doesn't have a tonal and you want to work out, why anyone, Tom, would want to do that on vacation.
You're on vacation. I don't think you use that word properly. Does it mean something different to people?
But some people do want to do that. And so if they want to go and train in a gym that doesn't have a tonal, they can kind of get an indication this is probably what should bench press or deadlift and things like that. So that was project number one that was sort of out the way and we're ready to talk about. We've been spending a lot of time on our advisory board and building that up. If you listen to Kate, we went through that on Tonal Talk, but we have sort of 7 individuals that are just a who's who experts. So they're all working on position statements, much like that kind of Brad hypertrophy that's going to make its way into product. So Stacey Sims is an expert in female physiology, the book author of the book Raw. She's writing one exactly around females and female training and how that might adjust. How do we optimally train at different stages of female development, from post-puberty to premenopausal to postmenopausal, and how we could modify our training so we can develop programs that align to that, which is super exciting. We're working on a project around just really understanding feedback and the best ways to give feedback. It's a really well-researched topic area. So, we have great form feedback right now. I think 200 or something, and maybe more cues that we can give people. But how do we best give that to help people learn? Because we're in the business of trying to help people improve. So can we modify that, or how can we modify that in the future through feedback? So working a whole bunch of projects around there, which will come out in the next probably 1 to 2 months. Most of those projects will be kind of released.
So do you need anybody on your advisory board to represent the lazy? Asking for a friend. Who's too lazy to ask himself.
I'm not bad at representing that voice. I take some aspects into that. But if I'm ever in doubt and I need a subject matter expertise on that topic area, I will be sure to give you a call.
Well, give me a heads up, because it might take me a couple days because I'm lazy.
It's like a sloth moving, right. Just conservation of energy. I used to work with a shot putter way back when, and he would literally have this little bike that he would pedal out to the shot put ring. It's 350, 400 pounds, huge guy. It was like, it's too much energy to walk. I got this little bike to walk.
Oh my gosh.
I like where his
and then
head's
he'd go
at.
And throw this shot put ridiculously far distance.
He was saving that energy for that moment. Yeah.
I aspire to be a sloth. That would be a step in the right direction.
Yeah. One year he had to dress up as his, back when it was okay to say things like spirit animal. You know, we don't do that anymore. But that he did one year dress up as a sloth for Halloween in the fun of finding animals that he was most like.
Yes.
So
and they noticed the difference?
No.
They knew it was in costume?
No.
It was fuzzier slightly.
There was a little more hair on top.
Yeah, up here. Everywhere else, no.
So funny. Okay. So what are you excited about? Is there one in particular that like stands above all the rest?
Oh, there's a lot of exciting projects that we're working on. And probably my favorite one is around some of our studying around dynamic weight modes. So for those of us that use them, you know, eccentrics change, smart flex. There's a reasonable body of research around eccentric training and how beneficial it is, but no one's been able to really do it the way that Tonal does it. So the traditional way of doing it in the gym is you essentially have to load up these kind of clunky plates. You either do 2 legs up, 1 leg down kind of thing, so you overload the eccentric portion, or you have to kind of put these funky, they're essentially catches that they fall off when you get to the bottom, so it reduces the weight. So you would typically only be able to study it in sort of 1 rep, 2 rep kind of repetitions, or in this bilateral to unilateral, so 2-footed to 1-footed example. Whereas Tonal just makes that really, really accessible. It's a touch of a button and it's every rep.
Yeah.
And so we're doing a bunch of research around that with Brad initially around muscle hypertrophy, but I think there's a whole avenue of research that we can go down there, which I think really unlocks huge potential beneficial gains for our membership. Smarter ways to train, more efficient ways to train, get more out of the same level of training. And so that's probably the area that I'm most excited for us to dive into and peel back and show our members how best to utilize those.
Yeah, I think that'll really be fascinating. I love the Smart Flex because I feel like it always helps me push through whenever I'm stuck on something. So it'll be interesting to see what the research bears out, and because I think my anecdotal evidence is that the Smart Flex really does help you kind of get to the next level and kind of smooth out the strength that you're able to do for each rep. So it'll be interesting to see if the evidence shows that or if it's all in my head.
Purely hypothesis at this benefit, but I agree with you. I think it'll help, we call it sticking points in parts of the lift where you can't push through. And I think Smart Flex will definitely help those. I think it's also going to help typically the activation profile of a muscle is it's light, it gets activated, there's a peak and it goes down. Whereas with Smart Flex, we're titrating the weight, so you get kind of the optimal contraction or lateral activity. So hypothesis would be the same. I'm definitely excited to see how that plays out, but we'll find out in the next few months.
Ooh.
You have a hypothesis, honey. That is
pretty special.
Yeah.
Just ways to sound smart.
I know, right?
My hypothesis. It's not I think, my hypothesis.
Yes.
I'm going to do that the next time we're fighting.
You're going to tell me your hypothesis?
My hypothesis is...
I don't think that's going to be a good idea. I don't think it's going to go over well. My hypothesis is that's going to end poorly for you.
I think there's fairly high confidence that Crystal's going to be correct on that.
I do marriage to failure. So batting 500.
Oh geez. So do you feel like the Tonal Strength Institute will evolve over time? Like you have like where you're headed now. Do you think it'll look different when we look at it like a year from now?
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, we've got a behavioral scientist starting on Tuesday. Our TSI coordinator starts on Tuesday too. So we're still, I guess, in a crawl, walk, run analogy. We're probably a toddler that's just getting to their steps, and certainly so we're still building the team, building out the capacity. We've probably got, I would say, 15 or so research projects that are lined up to be commissioned in the next 6 to 12 months. So we're going to be bringing on various PhD students to work either in through the institute themselves or through our partnered universities and academics that we work with. We're doing a lot around sort of some of the professional sports kind of space. And so we'll be talking about some of the things around how the athletes use Tonal. So yeah, we're definitely going to continue to evolve and really, no one's done this before, and which is super exciting for me. A little nerve-wracking, but we get to break new ground. There's other institutes out there or other kind of research arms, but I think no one that has a business model that is really designed for us to continue to iterate and to be knowledgeable and to be the leader in this space, and really a leadership team, a CEO, and a C-suite and a board that is super dedicated to us doing that. So it's a really, really exciting time. So yeah, we're definitely going to continue to evolve over the next 12, 24 months.
So is there any aspect of strength training or fitness in general that you think you will be able to research in a way that you've just never been able to tap into before because of Tonal?
I think there's actually a lot. I think the biggest area I think that we can unlock is our data and our understanding, the thousands of members that use on training. We have the world's largest strength training database. So, everything that I infer from science when I do the research right now or my career previously or academics is, in the strength training world is relatively small, very targeted groups, typically, 12 to 20, generally male, 18 to 24-year-old university students. That's what we know as the research is done about. There are some researchers that expand outside of that, but still very small groups. I think the biggest unlock for Tonal is we have these thousands of members that are training on our device, multiple times a week, and being able to glean the information, with all data privacy related kind of things de-identified, but understand how people make progress in the real world and bring that back into the product itself. So we can cherry pick. This is right. We want to look at this particular cohort segment of group of individuals. We're going to take, 40-year-old females that train at least 3 times a week. What's more effective? Let's compare this program versus those program in a real world setting, either through A/B testing or through our beta. So I think there's huge unlocks that we're going to be able to get around understanding how people train and how beneficially to train out of there. And the other one would be definitely on the dynamic weight mode. And I think we're going to be able to research that in such a way that no one else has ever been able to. So those were probably the 2 biggest unlocks, but barely scratching the surface. Yeah, the behavioral science side and how people engage and stay motivated and how we can manipulate that or understand that and then provide interventions. There's so many.
That's awesome. I know when it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I know when it comes to medical research, like getting participants, getting diversity in participants is always a struggle, and so Tonal can cast the net wide in a way that you probably can't in traditional circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a really really active membership who are really engaged. I think in one of my Tonal talks, I talked around a muscle biopsy study, and I think 25 people volunteered immediately. I'm like, wow. Normally you gotta open a checkbook before anyone thinks about doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I'd love to. That sounds awesome.
I did a study with a muscle biopsy, and it sucked.
Shh, don't tell me.
Sorry. I mean, it was delightful.
It was great.
Yes.
Didn't hurt at all. It was an injection.
It was totally worth doing, though. It was.
In all sincerity, it is. Like, we even talked about it after the Tonal talk, because I was telling Tom about it. I was kind of giving him the highlights of it.
Thanks for listening, Tom.
Well, he's lazy. Did we not cover this?
Yeah. My nap started before your talk did, though, if that makes you feel any better.
I sent you on your nap.
Yeah.
I was all riveted, and I got real sleepy when you started talking.
I just like to dream about Tonal.
But he had done. I knew that he had done the muscle biopsy before, so we were talking about that because he had to do it twice, if I remember correctly. Tom.
I had to do it not 8 times. Because,
okay.
Because when they did it, it was
a weight loss study.
It was a weight loss study, and they wanted to test how the body processed glucose at different weight levels. And so, I went in, they did a muscle biopsy, and then I lost a bunch of weight, and then they did it again. Well, they did it. And then they at the beginning of the week and then at the end of the week they did it in the other leg, and then I came back in, and then they after I lost weight, and they did it in both legs. Yeah, and then I had to repeat the study a year and a half later. So I've had a lot of muscle biopsies.
But the first one was the worst. Once you got past it,
totally.
it was much easier. Your body can accept it a lot easier. So if anybody out there is worried about that, you don't need to be.
Yeah.
It's
But it just shows the example. And a lot to your point earlier around sort of the medical community and the things, we try to infer. That's what we have to do in the research world. If we study this group and we try to infer it, and when it's a similar group, I'm looking at 20 to 30-year-old males, and I apply that to 30, 40-year-old males, it's not perfect, but maybe, understanding some physiology. But really what we want to be able to do is study each of the cohorts or each of the groups, because they're kind of going to respond differently, particularly in female populations, and something I'm decided to partner with Stacey Sims on, with hormonal changes as we go through different stages of life. And we can really kind of start to understand that in a way that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, I'm
That's
super
awesome.
fascinated to see how that turns out, because I often tell Tom, I know you both are men, so it's not as exciting to you, but it's from a woman's perspective, it seems unfair when you have to deal with your cycle, because it's you're literally stronger at some points of the month than others, and you have more energy, and you guys just you're just zooming along in an even keel. It's so unfair.
I agree. If we can fully understand what the implications for endurance training, I think it's almost a superpower that we can tap into, that you can train endurance at certain times of the month, mobility at certain times of the month, and strength at certain times, and actually get better gains than a consistent kind of, this is what I do kind of plateau. But we have to understand how best to do that. And so that's kind of one of the works we'll work with Stacey around. And maybe at some point down the line, I don't want to overpromise, but maybe we'll have programs that are designed around that we can kind of manipulate, so we take advantage.
That would be so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that's exciting to think about. You seem genuinely so excited about your job. I actually probably should have started with this, but what is a brief overview of your background that you ended up here?
You certainly couldn't have been 14 thinking, I want to work at the Tonal Strength Institute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's been a path. Mostly the previous 20 years of my career has been in elite sport. So I was a average sportsman, not in Texas. My accent's not from there, but from in the south of England, and not particularly great at any of them, but loved playing. Went on and studied sports science at university, and felt I was pretty good at that. Ended up doing a master's and started volunteering with sports teams. We're talking sort of early 2000s, so Salt Lake Olympians and things around there, and just I wouldn't say fell into it, but certainly it was the good thing I was good at. And so started working on physiology and a strength coach for these elite athletes. And I kind of always wanted to chart my own path a bit. So I came over to the US in 2004 to work for the US ski and snowboard team, went to the Torino Winter Olympics. And with that team, went back to England, ended up leading a sports science and medicine team for the Canadian Olympic Committee for 6 or so years, and sort of working up there. And then my previous role for the last sort of 6 years before this was with the US ski and snowboard, where I was the performance director and ran the Olympic team for the Pyeongchang 2018 Winter Olympics. And really, it's aligned. Obviously, my primary focus in most of that role is very elite athletes, but really what I did was take science best practices and apply it to the populations and really work around how we can think about humans holistically, not think of it as a physiologist or a biomechanist or as a psychologist, but think about it as a whole human and how we can leverage all the disciplines of science to enhance it. So it kind of do a very similar role at Tonal. Yes, much broader, diverse population that we try to work with, but sort of lean very heavily on the same principles about how we would approach elite athletes. So yeah, it's been fun. And honestly, I if you'd asked me 5 years ago if I'd be working for Tonal, I probably was aware of Tonal about 2018, 19. Okay. I probably kind of first got it on my radar. I got one for my athletes at sort of late 2019.
Oh, okay.
As a training mode. And that was the first time I'd ever tried it. And well, yeah, once I touched it, I was like, oh, wow, it's legit. This is a lot of opportunity. So I never really thought I'd be leaving elite sport. But once I tried it, I was like, oh, this opens up so many possibilities. And yeah, hopefully it comes across. I'm excited. I'm still
it does.
7 months in. I'm still super excited about my role and the opportunity that we have at Tonal for sure.
Well, for everyone in mediocre sport, we're happy that you're here.
And for Tom, like whatever the lowest level of that would be.
I'm not mediocre, but maybe one day if I try really hard.
We'll study the spectating of sport.
Yeah. There you go.
Physiological load of spectating.
I don't even do that.
Tough reaching into that popcorn.
He's so funny. The few times I've done like races and things like that, he literally will like wait in the car and then like just come out whenever I'm done. Like I'm here at the finish
it's not like I can watch you the whole time. So what else am I going to do?
Anybody out there who does normal spectating, they understand what I mean. Like it's different. It's different how you do it, Tom.
I didn't know I was abnormal. Well, I kind of knew. I didn't know that was one of the ways. How about that?
Troy's like, I have no comment.
He's like dedicated his life to sports, and I'm just like, don't care.
Yeah, you're the exact opposite.
Not that I don't care about what you've done with your life, but like when it comes to sports, I don't care about sports at all.
He doesn't.
Like, honest to God, like it's been a while, but somebody was at our house one time. And they wanted to turn on ESPN to check something. I had to Google to find out what the number channel was. I had no idea where to find it on our cable system. Like no clue.
It's true. He knows the comedy channels though.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
It's just a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe we could mix them in. Maybe you could add comedy commentary, maybe to sports. Maybe there's a new niche there.
Yeah.
There was actually a show on ESPN.
Really?
Called Cheap Seats. And it was two guys actually from St. Louis, which is where we're from. The Sklar brothers. They're twins. They grew up, honestly, about 4 blocks from my house, but we never met. But it was like Mystery Science Theater 3000, but for sports. And they would watch old sports shows. So they would watch like old baseball games or old one time they did like the spelling bee and and they would make jokes about it as it unfolded. It was actually pretty funny. It was a shame they didn't do it longer. But anyway.
Yeah, but it got canceled.
Yeah.
Because nobody in sports liked it.
It was not and looking back, merging nerd humor and sports, not the best idea from a marketing standpoint. Yeah.
You got to try. You got to iterate.
That's
you never
right.
know. Sometimes you stumble into things.
So you said you loved the Tonal the second you tried it. What is your favorite aspect of the Tonal?
Other than the fact that they hired you.
Yeah. I mean, the Tonal, the machine. We know that yeah.
I think my favorite aspect is the variety. Literally, I can do everything on this device on my wall, from programs and workouts to dynamic weight modes to super heavy lifting to a recovery yoga workout. I think, it's just all encompassing, which is for someone that, I've spent my life in very large gyms, basically training elite athletes, and you have to have bespoke equipment for this and bespoke equipment there. And with Tonal, you can get the same or better workout on virtually all of them on a device that's now in my home on a wall. It blows my mind still to think about the potential. So just the variety, I think, is just super unique.
Yeah, couldn't have said that better.
Yeah. So do you personally prefer programs or individual workouts?
I mix and match, I'll be honest. I definitely started on some programs. So I did some go big or go home, and then I decided to move away from them. I went home. I enjoyed them. I just needed the recovery workouts afterwards. I'm really loving live right now, especially with Trace and Gabby. I find it really motivating to work out with some colleagues, and I have a tendency to not bring a ton of intensity. I train quite frequently, and my job is there, and so I have sciencey-based programs. But sometimes I struggle to bring the intensity, and I found that the live workouts have really kind of upped my game. Power Hit and others have definitely increased my fire that I bring to the workout. So I'd say, a combination of mainly lives and programs.
So what's your leaderboard name then?
Huh?
What's your leaderboard name then?
You're not looking at that detail, so it's private. I think it's something fairly basic. It's probably Troy Taylor. I might not be that. Should have probably thought a little more. Go in and edit that on the app, right?
Yes, actually, you can.
I had to change mine.
I'm certainly not in the top 10 or top 1,000.
I just wanted to give you a high five if we were ever on the live workouts at the same time. But I can't because I don't know your name.
You're very secretive.
I'm pretty sure it's Troy Taylor, Troy J. Taylor, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look for you. I won't look at your stats. I'll just high five you.
That's fine. You can look away.
I would think you would no longer be worried about people judging your athleticism when you've spent the last 20 years surrounded by elite athletes
who it crushes you on a daily basis.
Right. Like there's no competition.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I'd kind of justified that. Well, they're Olympians. They can lift out things. Now I'm being crushed by, a 75-year-old,
Maybe it's a 75-year-old former Olympian.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah. That's what you should tell yourself.
Yeah.
I used to play squash racquetball with a guy that could barely walk, and he'd beat me. So I'm fairly used to being humbled in my athletic prowess.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Well, do you have any advice for people who are just brand new to Tonal? They've never used it, or maybe they're just brand new to the community?
Yeah, I think the UI and UX on Tonal, your ability to find stuff and for it to fit in is pretty phenomenal. But it's also, there's so much there. And so I would certainly encourage you to reach out to the community around what programs people like you have liked. Like, we're going to surface and recommend them, but there's so much that you can do. I think the community is definitely part of the secret special sauce of Tonal, the willingness for people to help out. And then, I would say for most people that are starting on a program, if you don't know, or you're starting on Tonal and you don't know what to, enroll in a program. Like, the programs are a really good place to start. We actually have really good data around there, the best way to increase strength, and you increase quicker if you do a program than if you do individual workouts. But I think it gives you a good structure. Like, what's a lot of people that struggle with it haven't worked out, that maybe have an intention to work out, but sometimes a behavior gap that they don't work out. Tom's different. He doesn't have the intention to work out, so that's a whole different.
I'm laughing because I tell Crystal I don't do any one-off workouts.
No,
I only do programs.
Yeah,
and because I have a couple cardio one-offs, but like for the strength training stuff, I only do programs because I was like, if I go down there, and ours is in the basement, if I go down there and I got to start digging around to pick a class, I'll just get I'll just be like, nothing sounds right. I'll spend 15 minutes figuring that out, and then I'll just quit. And so I want to go down and be like, I'm just doing day 3. Like it's already been decided. And in 3 minutes, I'm doing it.
There's really good behavioral science behind that, like the power of default. Like you don't have choice in it. You're just going to accept it. You're going to move on. And I think when you're trying to build habit formation, we want to leverage, we want to lean on that as much as possible. And the programs are created and designed for your level and your goal. And so I'd encourage most people to at least initially enroll in a program. And you want to add lives, or you want to add, quick fits or recovery workout, then that's cool. Then definitely do so. But I think the base structure of a program is a great place to start, and then you can build from there.
I think that's good advice.
I do too, because I do it.
Right. So you agree.
It's the advice I already gave myself.
Headline, Tonal Strength Institute supports Tom.
Yes.
Affirms everything Tom's ever said.
Yeah, apparently.
There we go.
Apparently,
He's in charge of it.
Okay, I don't know if I can even continue now.
He's the Professor X of the Tonal Strength Institute.
How did we get here?
So...
You know the man barely does cardio, right? Do you know this? And do you know that he secretly used the Tonal for a year before he came out of the Tonal closet? Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't tell it. Well, she knew, but I didn't tell the public.
I wasn't allowed to tell anybody. Yeah. I remember the day we called Kate and told her. She was... She thought something had happened terribly.
Yeah, she was worried. She was like,
it's like, we need to talk to you.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I guess you're not taking time out of your day. It's your job. So
good point.
Wow.
Yeah, I retract my gratitude.
I retract mine. I do not agree with everything.
I was like,
two points that we agree with.
Hey, it's 2 more than I would have thought. So I'll take it.
It's a start.
Yes, I take my wins where I find them. So, but thank you for joining us. Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you if you would like to be found, or push them to some tonal place you want them to go.
I'm not a big social media, but I'm on LinkedIn. Troy Taylor. If you Google Troy Taylor and Strength Institute or Tonal, you'll probably pop me up. But I'm LinkedIn. Please connect and chat onto me there. That's probably my main avenue.
That's
awesome.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next time?
We have a very special treat next time. We are going to have, Coach Jackson's new spouse, Anya, is going to join us, as well as Coach Pablo's significant other, Chris Hines.
So we will get some insights into what it's like to be in a relationship with a tonal coach.
Yeah. What is it like on the other side?
Yes.
How are these coaches at home? What are they like when they personal train them? So we're going to get all of the scoop. I can't wait to share this with you.
Awesome. Well, until then, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe, and they can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and the tonal leaderboard at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/Superset Podcast. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget, you can watch all of these on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Clip Out. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep lifting.
Smart handle, smart bar, smart training. There you are, customized, make it right. AI, form and vibe. Superset will show you what it's all about. It's a tonal workout.
The Superset is made possible in part by support from Tonal.